Yes. So
yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about this, eh?
It's pretty. So I was surprised. I saw it first from him this morning. That's why, again, shout out to our friend Somi.
Yeah.
This morning I woke up and I saw it. It's 4 hours late. So I'm seeing it.
Oh no. I think I got kind of notified to all this with Messin. He was tweeting all this morning, really stressing out Funding Jim. He was tweeting a bunch of stuff about the number goes down, something about the supply, blah 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 blah, and then Funding Jim was replying and stuff. He was really stressing him out, so that was kind of funny.
I saw you're in Funding Jim's conversation as well, which I was going to come and be like, you know what, that analogy is. We'll get into it in a minute. I was like, I could see there's a point in that too, but there's actually something interesting from that. But anyways, let's give some people context real quick, in case everyone slept in today, had their fluffy slippers on when they went to bed. The PHEX and EHEX LP pools, which used to be, let's go to here and go to pool or farms, and then if you go to finished, it's not there. Well, it used to be there.
If you go back and you unclick staked only.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was okay. I don't remember doing that. Maybe if you're logged in, it automatically does it, or logged in as in wallet. Anyways, if you go here,
feel free to dox yourself.
There are some. Yeah. Feel free to click that button and send me some coupons.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the WBTC, Ethereum BTC. Okay, so that one was gone, and then the HEX, PulseChain HEX and Ethereum LP, which was terrific. APR, a lot of people participated. That was one of the ones I talked about the other day, and it's gone now. And it's interesting because so that's the thing about RH or the devs or whoever is be able to has this type of governance with the system, being able to pick the farms, pick the pools, and incentivize people to do certain things, and then when they do it, understand that maybe we'll learn something from this. Like maybe if people start emergency instake and HEX, maybe that's not good for the EHEX side. Maybe that's not good for the ecosystem. So we need to dial it back. You really don't know until you try it, though. You really don't know how many people are going to participate. So our friend Somi talks about here, yield farms suddenly ended. So that doesn't mean anyone lost money and none of that stuff. It just means the polls ended. So you go there, you can pull your LP out. You get your fees, you get your ink, all that stuff too. Again, because there was too many people emerging and staking their EHEX stakes. That's, I guess, the speculation around it. And I don't imagine RH wanted that to be the what people would do with the farms, but it's a free market. So it's funny to see what people do with that. What to do now? He says, I don't know, because EHEX is too cheap to rotate in PX. EX is too cheap to rotate into PLS. EX too cheap and we can all together do anything now. What I do, add back the farms, give yield 25%. Yeah. He talked about this in the video. Pretty interesting video from our friend Somi as well. Your take on the whole situation and what you think about EHEX and all that stuff too.
Oof. Okay. Well, that's a lot to tackle. So right now there is this whole debate going on Twitter, right, as to whether EHEX will have any kind of parity with PHEX, or if there will be correlated. And I also think there's some degree of ambiguity as to what parity means. Like, I don't think everyone is operating with the same definition of parity when discussing these issues on Twitter. Like, for example, like I mentioned beforehand, I was talking to Messin from A Million to the Moon, and we were talking about what parity means. And, I was saying how, parity could be that there's a slight premium on the PHEX side of things, like let's say, PX goes to $1 and EHEX at 90 cents, something like that. But in his mind, he was saying parity means parity means an exact 1-to-1 or a very, very, very slight deviation, right? So in terms of, like, whenever we're talking about this, I think it might make sense to kind of dispel what we mean, exactly what we mean when talking about these different things, because I think we all have slightly different definitions. And look, we really don't know. All the things we do know is we've heard Richard say that he doesn't want to see cheap HEX anywhere. But on the other hand, he just disincentivized providing liquidity on the EHEX to PHEX side of things. And like it was just mentioned in this tweet here by Somi, the speculation is that there was a bunch of incentive to perhaps emergency unstake. I know we don't have to pull it up here, but you all can just take our word for it. There seems to have been a recent spike in emergency unstakes, therefore there's this, because of the high yield on the EHEX to PHEX pair, there's incentive to perhaps sell EHEX to PHEX, and also now that there isn't this liquidity or this incentivized liquidity, it's an open question as to how that's going to affect the behavior of EHEX participants. Do you think this change in liquidity, this no longer providing a incentive token for that pair, changes anything on the EHEX side of things?
I think, well, I'll frame it like this. I don't think HEX is going anywhere. I think that and there's so many reasons why it wouldn't. I mean, so many whales just don't care about PulseChain. So many of them have no idea it even launched, and they're not going to care in the future because what do they get out of it? They still got their copies, and they still got plenty of money to end their stake. So, there's going to be a lot of people. I think the consensus is, or what I would agree with, a lot of people saying around the community is, PulseChain is going to be the new hotness. The retail people are going to use it. It's going to be like the not the legacy, but the foundation to make sure HEX is not gatekept, all that stuff. And then EHEX is going to be like it's going to be around. It's people's best interest to make it worth money because, hey, they just got a stock split. So if another narrative is if it stays at half the entire time, then don't you want the other half to do really well until that decorrelates? So that portion of it, the whole pulling it from the pools, I think that was just, as I kind of alluded to when I was reading the Somi tweet, is it was something that was tried and they thought it was a good idea. And then they wanted to gauge and see what people would actually do. And I don't know why people emergency unstake, even if you're getting a better deal, like short term, like I don't get why you would end this. Like I wouldn't end any of my stakes to put in an LP pool. It just doesn't make sense to me. Even if you're getting a better deal short term, you're not collecting all the other fees. You're not collecting all the other stuff that's happening. You're losing your T shares, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people did that. And
yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say it doesn't make any sense. Like the upside is extremely ambiguous. The risk is extreme. I mean, how many people are in a position to be able to emergency unstake and then profitably provide LP with all the impermanent loss? Extremely, extremely few people are able to profitably pull that off. Far fewer than are actually attempting to do it. And so this kind of speaks to the notion that people do not, in this market, make decisions based off what's in their best self-interest. And we exist in a market where it's largely narrative driven. It's largely emotionally driven because we exist in a market with crazy extremes. And crazy extremes is not a rational market. It's the exact opposite. And so you got to be extremely concerned about your own psychology, the pitfalls, and have things in place in order to mitigate, your inevitable emotional reactions. Because I don't know about you, man, but when I saw, this most recent dip, I was like, God damn it, this feels horrible. But one needs to train their mentality to the worse they feel. In fact, that's probably means that we're close to a bottom. Because I mean, I don't know much. How did you feel? The last time HEX was at like 1.718 cents. I know you're kind of like what's up. But my point is, if you were to ask, a lot of onboards, a lot of retail, how they felt, they probably felt horrible, depressed. Oh, this is the end. It's confirmed. But in fact, the worse you feel, the probably closer you are to a bottom. And I was, while I did kind of feel shitty that we are experiencing this correction, I also understand that personally for myself. I had some dry powder. I was able to buy the dip. So, I'm happy. But I also, did experience, I'm a human. I experienced the motion of being like, oh, this kind of sucks. And I know the worse I feel, the closer we are to a bottom. So I want to encourage essentially sadomasochism in this community, where the worse you feel, the better it is, because that's can be considered a marker of us getting close to the bottom. Now, could we correct further? It's always possible, man. Bitcoin's showing some signs of weakness. I know there are some people within our quote unquote community that like to think that we're decorrelated. I'm one of these people that feel strongly that we are correlated to the rest of the market. A further Bitcoin dump only doesn't help, and that's possible. Bitcoin's putting in micro lower highs and lower lows. Possibility for further dumpage is completely possible. And given the current weakness we're experiencing, a greater increase in macro negative sentiment is likely to also impact the sentiment within our community negatively, because we have a lot of retail, we have a lot of people in this space that are not only just HEX people, and so the change in their sentiment matters greatly. And so something else to consider as well, and I'll begin wrapping up my point. If we consider how other competitors have behaved in the past, I was taking a look at things like Cardano, Polkadot, Kusama, Elrond, AVAX, a lot of these other Ethereum competitors. They all had a major correction within the first month, within the first quarter of them having launched, and that major correction was the not just a cycle all-time low, but the cycle all-time low. So there is a very decent chance that within the first month, within the first quarter, one of these major dips might end up being the goddamn all-time low, like not just a cycle all-time low, but the entirety all-time low. So I view these dips as opportunity. The shittier you feel, probably the better a buying opportunity it is. Yeah. And so, those are just some important things to keep in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I generally try to have no or a very short and small emotional response every time I look at the price. I try not to look at the price very often. Just kind of, just want to get a pulse of things, how things are going. I don't look at the price to be like, oh, I should feel good today, or oh, I should feel bad today. I just look at it like, oh, okay, this is okay, interesting. That's where it is right now. And you kind of got to have some ability to just ignore these things. And again, why are you looking at the price anyways, unless you're wanting to sell? That's what always confuses me. All kinds of people are like, oh, the price up, down, all this stuff. And I'm just, to me, it's like, unless I'm looking to take profit somewhere, I don't care what the price is at any given moment. It's irrelevant to me on that. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people who their day is good and their day is bad based on the price or based on the sentiment. But yeah, as you alluded to, I'm playing the long game. I'm looking for those yield opportunities. I'm looking for the LP. I'm looking for the staking, locking up, anything to just, whatever my time horizon is, whatever your time horizon is, it's like stopping yourself from wrecking yourself and getting yield for waiting is the name of the game. And so that's why I'm glad at least we have the LP stuff that comes and goes sometimes. But even if the macro, even if that, so here's the way I think about it too. Let's say you think everything's going down, you believe the macro environment's bad, you believe there's going to be another, all-time low. So I guess you have a choice. Like, do you want to sell now and try to really get to bottom? Or do you want to just hold and or buy or hold with dry powder, but not sell what you have now in case, things turn around, things go up from here, there is no lower low and all that stuff. I think it's the couple of choices you have. For me, the easiest thing is just like not getting rid of the coins that are freaking at sack value right now. I just cannot imagine selling PulseX below sack value or at sack value. Just like I couldn't imagine selling PulseChain on a 2x. Like, these things aren't even possibilities in my mind. That there's like, again, as long as my real life is going well and I'm not, knock on wood, I'm not like, I don't get foreclosed on or all these terrible things happening that could happen to a lot of people. But in general, why would that even cross your mind? If you've seen what HEX did, you've seen what any coin did. Forget HEX's 10,000x. Just look at any other coin that launched with any sort of a fraction of the economic energy and genius billionaire founder we have, a fraction of any of that. And you're going to be like, oh, but what if the macro goes down? I'm going to try to time the bottom. I don't know. I don't get it.